Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics. And I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top Latino for 3 consecutive years via the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's everyone's favorite conservative, Fernando Uribe. Hoping you're all doing well as we continue with the month of April. There's always a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be your hero in New Jersey media. I'll continue to tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because I take pride in telling it like it is. But people that don't tell it like it is, and people that are just sort of blatantly dishonest, are propagandists masquerading as journalists. And when I think about that premise, what really comes to mind is the disservice that NJ.com, via the Star Ledger as well, does every single day. Now, what's really interesting, folks, is when you check your email, I'm sure at least once a week you're going to get some spam email from NJ.com asking you to subscribe to their paywall. That for only $1 for the first month, you can rely on responsible journalism and obviously a news site that tells you the truth. Folks, that could not be any more blatantly dishonest when it comes to NJ.com and the Star Ledger. Subsequently, after the free trial basis of 30 days, you'll be charged $20 on your debit or credit card. But what's really interesting, though, is the idea that the editor-in-chief of the editorial board, Tom Moran, somehow is telling you the truth when he really isn't. Now, let me just put this in perspective here about some recent tweets that came to my attention, and quite honestly, how embarrassing it is. Let's start off with this past weekend. Julie Rodzinski, and that name should mean something to you folks, as she's one of those operatives in the summer of 2016 who made it a point to approach Phil Murphy as he was contemplating a run for governor. Now, Julie Rodzinski is an operative with no morals, no moral compass, and quite frankly, no real policy perspectives. And it shows because she encouraged and enabled Phil Murphy to run for governor in 2017. Now, I'm not so much mad at Phil Murphy. He didn't lie to you or me or anyone else. He told you exactly what he was going to do. He was going to raise taxes. He was going to make the state budget fatter than the newest Victoria's Secret models that are out there, sporting lingerie. He was going to coddle illegals by making New Jersey a sanctuary state, very much like California. He was going to neutralize ICE and local police departments from working together to make sure that we get rid of illegals who are here in this country illegally. Right? And not only so much that as well, but we've also seen, obviously, the gas tax, coddling the LGBTQ plus minus whatever community. I've lost track already, folks, of the amount of letters and symbols that are contained in the acronym. But you get the picture. Phil Murphy told you exactly what he was going to do. And tragically, you all fell for it. Now, mind you, at the time, Lieutenant Governor Kim Godano was not a great candidate. She was working for 8 years with Governor Chris Christie, who left office coincidentally in 2017 with one of the worst approval ratings for any governor in the history of New Jersey politics. But Julie Rodzinski, obviously, as you know, in recent years, has been in the headlines for speaking out against NDAs and speaking out about women's rights as it pertains to the Murphy administration, and certainly being very vocal against the candidacy of the First Lady, Tammy Murphy, in her recently failed U.S. Senate bid. But again, let's sort of go to the tweet, which I think is kind of interesting. So over the weekend, Julie Rodzinski wrote, "Wow, imagine if this woman could have spoken out and called to testify at trial to underscore OJ's tendency to physically abuse women, precisely why we at Lift Our Voices US are finding so hard to eradicate workplace NDAs like this one at Gretchen Carlson." Now, again, some context here. Obviously, we all learned that, thankfully, OJ Simpson passed last week, a guy who openly murdered 2 people. And obviously, we look at 2 prosecutors like Marsha Clark and Chris Darden, who, let's be honest, completely defecated the bed and completely defecated that prosecution there. As we all learned, the trial of the century in the mid to late 90s garnered a lot of attention. And I think at some point, folks, we all remember where we were in September of 1995 when the verdict was released. So trust me, I'm not going to miss O.J. Simpson. He was a horrible human being. But Julie Rodzinski's reference was to when O.J. was a star running back at the University of Southern California. And apparently he had some run-ins with some women, and apparently the administration at USC made a point to ensure that any of those indiscretions and any abuse against women at USC never saw the light of day. So that's in reference to what Julie Rodzinski was alluding to in her tweet. Now, of course, Tom Moran, who never misses an opportunity to be sanctimonious, wrote, "Horrifying, and you are so right, Julie. These NDAs are sickening, and still feel sorry you had to sign one to work for @Governor Murphy. Not to mention that he and his team lied about it over and over, including to me." Well, folks, again, this is one of the reasons I completely dislike and at times absolutely loathe Tom Moran, because this is a guy in his mid to late 80s who continues to be of a disservice to the institution of journalism. Because it wasn't just once, but twice that Tommy, little Tommy boy, decided to endorse Phil Murphy. Never mind the fact that in 2017 they really weren't great candidates. It was either Phil Murphy or Kim Godano. But in 2021, after we learned, folks, let's be honest, that the emperor killed people in nursing homes, sent people to their deaths in veterans' homes, killed the economy in New Jersey, kept our schools closed a lot longer than they should have been, contributing in considerable learning loss for our kids. While freedom-loving states like Texas and Florida, who got COVID right, obviously aren't seeing the same numbers when it comes to learning loss and other really discrepancies when it comes to the COVID response. But Phil Murphy dropped the ball on a lot of things. Taxing us to death, once again making sure that we coddle illegals by really undercutting ICE agents in New Jersey, by again catering to the LGBTQ plus minus community at all hours of the day. In terms of growing the state budget, once again getting fatter than any of the Victoria's Secret models you've been seeing lately modeling lingerie. And Jack Ciarelli, while I have my issues with his campaign, was a very uninspiring candidate too. Again, I like Jack personally, but we have to sort of tell the truth out loud about what Jack Ciarelli represented. And despite all that, Jack only lost by 3 points. And mind you, I was the only journalist, and it's on record, folks, to predict that race to be closer than people thought it would be, because we all knew that the emperor was vastly unpopular in various parts of the state. Now, of course, we all know that in the inner cities, where there were being dumps like Elizabeth, New Brunswick, Trenton, Camden, Patterson, Newark, the south side of Jersey City, Atlantic City, we all knew that the Democratic chairs and the Democratic leadership was going to come out in full force to support Governor Murphy, to keep enabling him in his awful policies, right? And despite all of that, Tom Moran told you to vote for him, not once but twice, knowing full well, again, that Phil Murphy murdered people, that Phil Murphy has taxed us almost to death, that he has coddled illegals, he continues to coddle the LGBTQ plus minus, the alphabet army, that he continues to put his ambitions, and obviously we saw that, those of his wife, before those of everyday New Jerseyans. But Tom Moran would like to be sanctimonious now and kind of sell you this buyer's remorse that he has. Folks, don't be fooled by Tom Moran. Tom Moran has consistently shown us that he is the clown prince of New Jersey journalism. And that's saying a lot, folks, because, again, there is a plethora of people to choose from. Right? We got Uncle Dave with David Cruz with NJ Spotlight News. We got Little Terry, the editor-in-chief of NJ Spotlight News. We got pothead Matty Friedman. Guy looks like he's living under a bridge. He's the editor of the New Jersey Playbook with Politico. Obviously, we all know the clowns at Insider NJ, whether it's Max Pizarro, their editor-in-chief, women like Jay Lassiter, contributors that are useless like Corin Frankfurt, obviously columnists like Alan Steinberg, right? Also, for example, Charles Stile, another useless journalist working for NorthJersey.com via the Bergen Record. Again, there is no shortage, folks, of garbage journalism in New Jersey. But when it comes to, again, the head of the pack, it's Tom Moran. Because he wants you to believe that, again, he's so concerned about the damage that Phil Murphy has done to New Jersey. No, Tom, you're not fooling anybody, least of all me. But despite the fact that Tom Moran continues to be pretty useless, and just when you think he can't get any dumber or make any more asinine comments on social media, he always finds a way to rise to the occasion. And he did that this weekend also by talking about Tom Kean. He puts out a tweet, obviously in his recent column, Tom Kean's cowardice on Ukraine. What's worse, the nut jobs who believe in Trump, or those like Representative Tom Kean who know it's nonsense but go along to save their jobs. Hashtag Ukraine, hashtag betrayal. Now, Tom Moran, again, will be the same guy that will tell you, yes, it's okay to keep funneling billions of dollars to Ukraine. Folks, this past week, obviously, was the deadline for filing your taxes. Now, as I like to file my taxes online, I did try to claim President Zelensky of Ukraine as one of my dependents because, again, my tax dollars are going to fund that corrupt regime in Ukraine on a daily basis. Folks, it's over 2 years with that war already. At some point, there has to be an end or coming to the table, some sort of truce. Something has to happen, folks. But it's not our problem. And again, listen, I love Ukrainian women like anybody else. Okay? Believe me, I've chased my fair share in my adult life. But in terms of what's going on in Ukraine right now, folks, it's not our problem. It really isn't. Let Putin do whatever it wants with Ukraine. Okay, the idea that Russia is this sort of superpower once again from the Cold War, that's not the case, folks. Okay? If Russia was such a potent army, they would have annihilated Ukrainian forces 2 years ago when this war started. And 2 years later, they're nowhere closer to ending this war than Ukraine is. But again, the solution to Tom Moran and hardcore liberals and progressives and leftists is, yes, let's just keep sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. Well, that corrupt hack President Zelensky will continue to relish in the lavish life of luxury that he leads in Ukraine. And, of course, everything else that's going on in Ukraine, of course, compensating government officials with American taxpayer dollars, right? Or, of course, what we're doing in terms of funding other wars. Folks, that's not our problem. But Tom Moran, I'm pretty sure back in 2004, was the first guy to probably call out President George W. Bush about funding the Iraq war and what we were doing in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And that was also a mistake, too. See, folks, unlike Tom Moran and all the hacks that I just mentioned in New Jersey media, I'm intellectually honest. I'm philosophically consistent. Okay? I'm not going to double down on some stupid, perspective just because I've dug myself too deep into it. No, folks, I'll recognize when I'm wrong. And on this program and my other shows on my media brand, I'm not wrong very often, if ever. But here's an example where Tom Moran clearly knows he's wrong, but he's doubling down. Because what choice does he have? He doesn't have any credibility left. He doesn't have any integrity left. So at this point, why not just, grandstand and hope that there's a few more suckers paying $1 for the content on NJ.com. But what's even better, though, is he ends the tweet with, "Go Sue Altman. We deserve better." Oh, wait a minute, Tom. You mean this Sue Altman? The one in this video here that's absolutely embarrassing herself at the State House a few years ago when she was the executive director of the New Jersey Working Families Alliance? Folks, a left-wing, radical left-wing, progressive think tank / nonprofit / C4, whatever, okay? I mean, folks, this is who Tom Moran wants to, again, put his chips in the middle of the table and endorse. A woman, and again, folks, let me be very clear. When you go to the State House, you're expected to act like an adult. Yes, you may not like what's going on in the proceedings, but act like an adult. This is a woman running as the Democrat frontrunner obviously coming up to represent the 7th Congressional District in the House of Representatives against the incumbent, Tom Kean. But as you can see there, when you watch the video all the way to the end, who do you notice there? Yes, the guy with the dumbass look on his face. Not just there, but he has it on every day. That's Tommy Moran. So for a guy that clearly was laughing at the antics and the theatrics of Sue Altman, now all of a sudden Tom Moran wants to endorse her for Congress. Folks, you couldn't have two more deserving clowns enabling each other. To say nothing of the fact of the other clowns enabling Sue Altman. We all see it on her social media, right? Insufferable, useless women in New Jersey politics, such as Hetty Rosenstein, the former director of the CWA union. Again, I mean, if you could ever wake her up past her nap, I mean, who knows? Or Maria Rodriguez-Gregg, a passive-aggressive, let's be honest, hyperactive former assemblywoman who endorses infantile behavior online. Don't believe me? Check out the people she hangs out with, women like Jay Lassiter, or other people that endorse or enable Sue Altman, useless women like Corin Frankfurt, or Anjali Malhotra, okay? Or Julie Borst, right? Or others in social media in New Jersey politics that endorse clowns like Sue Altman. Is this a way that you're supposed to act inside the chambers of the state legislature? Once again, folks, the state police is not going to ask you to leave and then restrain you if you're not being disorderly, if you're not being rambunctious, if you're just not causing a disturbance. But Sue Altman didn't understand that, and rightfully so, she was escorted out. But of course, once again, who's there smiling and laughing? It's Tom Moran. Because when it comes to childish antics and clown behavior, and let's be honest, theatrics, folks, Tom Moran enables this. He enables it with useless women like Julie Rodzinski, and clearly he's enabling it now with Sue Altman. Don't take my word for it. Folks, the video's right there. You can look for yourself. But folks, once again, when it comes to thinking about where to spend your money, I'm sure there are better things you can do with $1 than invest it in NJ.com, the Star Ledger, and clowns like Tom Moran. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. And now some local stories for your consideration, and a special thank you to the editor-in-chief of the Hudson County View and a fellow member of the Pinnacle, John R. Highness, for his reporting on this story. Again, as I was just talking about clowns, let's talk about another clown at a local level, and that's Joe Quintero, a member of the Lollipop Guild, a.k.a. the council members that support Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala. And to no one's surprise, he was named the Hoboken Democratic Committee chair this past week. Obviously, he served on the executive committee for 4 years. Now, Quintero, who I wouldn't trust to represent me in a traffic stop in court, which again is a reminder that it seems like getting law degrees are pretty easy these days if someone like Joe Quintero can have one, right? So Joe decides to say, quote, "I'm honored to have the confidence and trust of my fellow committee members, and I thank them for the privilege of serving as chair. I have some big shoes to fill in taking on the leadership position. Rachel Hodes is not only a dear friend of mine, another useless woman in local politics, folks. Rachel Hodes didn't do anything in terms of moving the needle in Hoboken politics, but, you know, you could let her fool you. But she was literally the person who first helped me, as she has helped many others get involved in Hoboken politics, tragically. My vision for our party is to work from the ground up, meeting our voters where they are so we can more effectively promote our democratic values, advocate for liberal issues, and get Democrats elected in all facets of government. Right now, we have a great opportunity to activate our Hoboken Democratic base, and I believe the best way to do that is by increasing our presence locally." Now, Quintero, who was first elected as part of Mayor Ravi Bala's slate in 2021, fills a role about a month after the HDC bucked the Hudson County Democratic Organization by endorsing Bala for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 8th Congressional District, and subsequently U.S. Representative of the 3rd Congressional District, Andy Kim, for the Senate seat when First Lady Tammy Murphy was still in the race. The day after the meeting, Hodes resigned, thankfully, because she's pretty useless, claiming the HCDO did not care about bolstering and growing the party, but simply maintaining power for the county machine. The first major event of Quintero's tenure as chair will be partnering with Bala for a Congress campaign as they prepare the grand opening of their Hoboken office. Folks, get ready for that clown show coming up soon. The event is scheduled for noon on April the 20th at 331 Grant Street. Now, Quintero was the first elected official to voice support, what a surprise, for Bala's potential bid for the House of Representatives back in September and formally endorsed Ravinder at the end of last month. Folks, once again, as I said earlier, I wouldn't trust Joe Quintero to represent me in a traffic stop in municipal court. But somehow we're supposed to believe that Joe Quintero's political IQ is one that's supposed to be influential when it comes not just to only Hoboken politics, but Hudson County politics in general. Folks, as a dedicated member of the Lollipop Guild, along with Phil Cohen and Emily Jabor, we've seen what these three useless clowns have done to the city of Hoboken. They've basically rubber-stamped all the nonsense of Mayor Ravi Bala. And as I've talked about on this show repeatedly, what is Ravinder going to run on when it comes to his congressional bid in challenging freshman incumbent Representative Rob Menendez? What's he going to run on? Oh, I repainted all the crosswalks with rainbow colors during Pride Month? Oh, I prioritize pronouns over property taxes? Oh, while Hoboken's flooding every other day, I'm opening a new dog park because I just need to virtue signal and grandstand when supposedly you're all about climate change, right? That's what Ravinder is running on. I don't know about you folks, but is that much of a record to run on? I don't think so. But again, who's enabling Ravinder? It's the Lollipop Guild. Joe Quintero, Emily Jabor, and Phil Cohen. I don't know about you folks, but 2025 can't come soon enough because I'd love to see some of these clowns hit the bricks along with Ravi Bala. Now let's stay in Hoboken and actually talk about a councilman who actually gets it and doesn't have the political IQ of an infant, and that's First Ward Councilman Paul Provenzano. Now this past week, he formally endorsed U.S. Representative Ron Menendez out of the 8th Congressional District for re-election, touting his record in Washington, D.C., while also taking a swipe at Mayor Ravi Bala, the incumbent's main opposition. Now, Paul went on to say this week in a prepared statement, quote, "In this crucial race for U.S. Congress, I am proud to endorse Representative Ron Menendez for re-election. After witnessing years of divisive politics and power-hungry tactics from his opponent, the choice is clear. Rob has consistently delivered for the 8th Congressional District, making him the right choice for our community. Once again, in a statement prepared this week. As a Hoboken councilman, I have personally experienced Rob Menendez's dedication, who always makes himself accessible and prioritizes the concerns of our community. President Zana also emphasized Menendez's advocacy for infrastructure projects, economic development initiatives, gun safety, and women's rights as examples of a successful first term in office. Now, folks, I've said this before. I don't agree with everything that Rob Menendez believes in, and he knows that. We've had lunch and dinner and drinks, and we've talked about this like two adults. But one thing I will say wholeheartedly and unequivocally and conclusively is that Rob Menendez has gone to Washington and he's gotten the work done. He's rolled up his sleeves and he has brought back crucial dollars to the 8th Congressional District. And while Ravi Bala wants to take shots at Rob Menendez vis-a-vis his father, and I understand his father's facing an uphill battle legally when it comes to his alleged corruption and bribery scam. But again, folks, it's due process. If you believe in due process for the 45th president, which I do, I also believe in due process for the senior United States senator. But that's not who's running for Congress in the 8th Congressional District. It's Rob Menendez. Not Bob, but Rob. And his record shows that he has gotten to work. Now, does he grandstand with some of the Democrats in the party? I don't know. I mean, he's not anywhere near as radical and as politically, inept as fellow members of the House, like, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, the Puerto Rican princess, or Rashida Tlaib, or other members of the squad, okay, or Sheila Jackson, again, other useless members of the Democrat Party at the House level. That's not Rob Menendez. Okay, Rob's gotten to work. And if Ravi Bala wants to talk about, Rob was born on third base, folks, let's not get it twisted. Ravi Bala didn't grow up in poverty. Ravi Bala grew up in privilege. Grew up in Bergen County to some wealthy parents, okay? Let's not pretending like Ravi Bala came over on a boat from India and was starving. He wasn't. He was born of privilege. So can we stop with the semantics, Ravi? You're not fooling anybody. I mean, I get you fool the Lollipop Guild to sort of eat up your act, Emily Jabor, Phil Cohen, and Joe Quintero. I get it. The Lollipop Guild eat your act up for breakfast. But for people that are credible, like Paul Provenzano, they see through your nonsense. And that's why his endorsement of Rob Menendez makes so much sense. Now to happier news, and a great thing to hear coming out of Hudson County Community College. Its president, Dr. Chris Reber, a good personal friend of mine, was named the Community College CEO of the Year by the American Association of Community Colleges, the AACC. Again, great job by Steve Lennox and the staff at Tap Into Jersey City for their reporting on this story. Whether it's increasing the success of students and the formation of new academic and career pathways, the professional development opportunities that employees and staff are pursuing, or simply the inclusive and welcoming environment everywhere on the campus, Hudson County Community College President Dr. Chris Reber's impact on the college is clear and quite pervasive. Today, Dr. Reber's efforts are being recognized on a national level by the American Association of Community Colleges, which named him the CEO of the Year coming up at their convention in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, the AACC is one of two major national community college associations that counts over 1,000 community colleges as their members. This year's event will draw several thousand attendees from community colleges all across the United States. On being named the CEO of the Year, Dr. Reber stated, quote, "I'm humbled to win this award, which is owned by our entire HCCC community. I thank every member of our beautiful HCCC family, as it truly takes a village. This is the outcome of everyone's efforts and contributions to our students and community. Hudson County Community College is increasingly seen as a high-performing national leader in service to our students and community, but most importantly, as our students say, Hudson is home. It's an honor to lead this remarkable institution." Well, folks, having the privilege to interview Dr. Chris Reber on my media brand, I can tell you that there's no one more deserving than Chris for this award. For a guy that has gotten to work in it, again, when he was named president, pretty much he came into shortly before the pandemic. And the extraordinary job that Chris Reber has done with Hudson County Community College, again, navigating through the pandemic, making sure that they can get the necessary funding from Trenton, and increasing enrollment, making sure that faculty are taken care of, making sure that, hey, we're increasing resources for students. Chris Reber has done the work. I'm proud to call Dr. Chris Reber a friend and a fellow academic, and a guy who quite honestly is most deserving of this award. So next time you see Dr. Chris Reber on the campus of Hudson County Community College, Go up to him and say hi, and more importantly, shake his hand, because he's a guy who's gotten to work, gotten the work done, and it truly continues to be an inspiration for everybody in the community of Hudson County Community College. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a reminder about Memories Matter 2024 coming up on Friday night, April the 26th at the world-famous Lolita's Mexican Cantina located on River Road in North Bergen. Festivities will begin at 7 o'clock and we'll be partying way until 2 in the morning to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Joining me at the door will be my amazing co-hosts, Vladimir Carrero, Emily Amato, Yanoli Guerrero, and Jacqueline Rodriguez. We are asking for a $20 suggested donation at the door. Please bring cash and make sure that you have it available because there'll be incredible raffles and a 50-50 available that evening. There's also valet parking available on the premises, and we'll have just amazing music all night long by DJ Ziggy Roman. And once again, folks, I'm proud to partner with Alzheimer's New Jersey and all the great work that they do to help families all across the state of New Jersey in dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia collectively. For more information concerning Alzheimer's New Jersey, please go to their website, www.alznj.org. Again, mark it on your calendars for Friday night, April the 26th, for the 2024 edition of Memories Matter to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. And together, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we can defeat Alzheimer's once and for all. And that's our show for this week. Before we sign off, folks, I do want to get a little giddy and celebrate a little bit as Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe celebrates exactly 5 years this week here with the Hudson Media Group. I am eternally grateful to their CEO and executive producer, Patrick O'Melia, for his belief in my abilities and, quite frankly, the excellent rapport that we continue to share to this very day. I'm grateful that he saw something in this program and continues to believe in it every single week. I couldn't be more grateful, ladies and gentlemen, for the amazing staff here at the Hudson Media Group who help make my job infinitely easy when it comes to production and editing. Folks, it might look easy, but it really isn't. But you know what? When you're working with excellent people here as it pertains to the staff at the Hudson Media Group, hey, my job isn't as difficult as it looks. Trust me, when you have wonderful people that you're working with. So once again, here's to 5 years with the Hudson Media Group. And you know what? To 5 more here with Talking Politics. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, once again, to check out all the excellent content brought to you by the leader in independent media, you can always rely on the Hudson Media Group. Please check out their websites, www.hmgtvshows.com, along with www.livestream.com/hmgtv. Don't forget to check out the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, like them, and of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. Folks, I can never call it X. I don't know. I'll keep calling it Twitter. But make sure you follow them, and of course, hey, we're always on YouTube watching something, right? We're watching a cooking show. We're learning how to, I don't know, put up drywall. We're cooking. We're learning how to disassemble or assemble things. Whatever it is we're doing, folks, we're always on YouTube. Well, guess what? Click the subscribe button and you'll be automatically notified of all the wonderful content brought to you by the Hudson Media Group every single week. They include shows like Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe, Hudson County View Live with John R. Highness, Stick at Night with Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, and of course, all the great men and women working in the township of North Bergen every single week here, along with other great shows available, once again, by the Hudson Media Group. And again, folks, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I'm New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine for 2020, 2021, along with 2022, and of course, folks, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. Hey, I'm grateful for their support all these years. And certainly, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. Of course, I'm everyone's favorite conservative, Fernando Uribe, saying, folks, once again, happy birthday to Talking Politics here, to 5 years and many, many more. I'm Fernando Uribe. Thank you so much for watching.